Hello, welcome back to another episode on Beyond Business. Today I'm joined by a guest where I know nothing about this industry, right? Nothing at all. So I'm really excited for me to learn for the first time and for anybody to watching to learn the first time. I'm joined by the lovely Andy today. Awesome hair for anyone watching on YouTube.
Thank you.
And you're in the world of theatre and theatre training. You do workshop for schools, stuff like that as well. But I will let you do a better intro than I will, and then we'll go from there.
Hi, so I'm Andy Burden. I'm the Executive and Artistic Director of Natural Theatre Company. The company's been around since, started in 1970, doing interactive theatre. It's probably the oldest running interactive theatre company in the world, I think. And interactive means that street theatre, we go out and we work with people where they are. But we also do shows, and we also, some of them are walking shows, immersive shows, some of them are occasionally in theatres, usually in strange places. But as you quite rightly say, we do workshops as well. We do alternative provision for special educational needs pupils because of the work we're doing, because it is so interactive and it's kinesthetic. It means you don't have to be a great writer, you don't have to be able to do maths or anything like that, and you can sort stuff up by saying it, by doing it. We also run various workshops. We do corporate training work. The very skill we've had is very transferable to lots of different things. Basically we do interactive immersive theatre, from basic walkabout and to working with heritage sites and in education and big community projects where we get people to research the history of their community and then reenact some of the key characters.
That's really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. We were before the call, we were having a little chat about history, and I think we both like stuff like that. My girlfriend, she's taking me away for my birthday, which is in 2 weeks, and she's not telling me where we're going. And if you know the answer to this, don't tell me where it is. But apparently, it's one of the best like retained Roman settlements in the UK, right? So
Well, it might be here, it might be in Bath. If you're coming to Bath, we do all the Roman characters at the Roman
that would be cool.
baths.
That could be a chance that I could be
Yeah,
seeing
yeah, yeah.
you guys.
Maybe she's just taking you back in time to the past.
That would be cool. If I could go back in time, I would want to go to where the Romans tried to take Scotland. That's what I'd want to watch. That's what I'd want to see. But you have so many different verticals that you do for the business. It sounds like there is a lot to do at all times. I guess like how have you structured all of these different verticals? Do you kind of run it? Do you have people helping you run it below? Like how does that look?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a small. When I arrived here, I had to change the model because the company had been Arts Council funded, and 2 years before I arrived, it completely lost the money. So in my interview, it's do we close the company or have you got an idea? And I went, well, yeah, I've got some ideas here. I run a theatre beforehand and some other organisations. As you say, there is, when you write the business plan for the business, you could end up concentrating on just one thing, right? We've got to do that. Because that's what they would teach you at Harvard Business School. You know, hey, you want to be big and yeah. We're not a rich organisation, but we're stable. We are actually a charity, so we have to break even and not make profit. So what you have to do is to be able to understand we're actually selling the same product in different fields. Do
Okay.
you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
having
it's the same
that
thing.
whole thing about what's a paperclip, what could you use a paperclip for? And it's, the whole Ken Robinson thing, I don't know if you've seen that. You ask it to a sort of a 5-year-old and they'll come up with 1,000 uses. Whereas an adult will come up with three, And so there's a bit of the kid in us going, what can we do with this? But then keeping a track of all the projects is difficult. We were very lucky though last year. Literally every project came in one weekend after another. This year it's been not like that.
I would not be complaining.
No, this year it's been everything sort of nestling around certain key dates. that becomes hard to manage. But in terms of looking for your client base, you literally just go, these are commercial, these are heritage and tourism, these are educational, and these are community arts. And there's a few other sectors. So we just target them in slightly different ways, but it's not big difference. And then we see who picks up and we work with them.
Like essentially the same service but a different wrapping.
Yeah, yeah, in a
Kind of.
way. I mean, it's the same skill from the performers, but different things. I mean, since I've been here, particularly the heritage thing's the thing we've really grown. So you have to go away and research. So we have to give the actors a bit of research, but we've become very good. The key performers and myself and the artistic team, good at going, right, this is what you need to know to grow on and and it changes, and we're adapting to that the whole time with each client. You learn with each gig, you know, and there's a very good feedback process that goes on after we've worked with the clients. How can we do it? How can we approach them better? Is our offer right? Are we overextending ourselves? Do we have the capacity to deliver that? Are we actually delivering something that's not very good?
Yeah. There's always a question to ask, yeah.
Sorry to bring this up so early. We're finding people doing parties and things like that increasingly going to AI for ideas, and they don't work.
Parties, you mean?
Because, yeah, yeah, so right, I've got a theme for a thing, a party. I'm doing a Barbie party. And I said, we want you to do this. And you go, put it in AI and you go, you've just read that. That's the top one on the list. You haven't even, that is not going to work because A, B, and C, because AI has never actually performed interactively with someone. It doesn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. They kind of
And
use it
unless
to
we
help them with
feed
the
back all the
ideas.
data into AI, it will never know. And I'm not going to.
No, we won't know. Loads of different verticals. It's essentially the same wrapping, but I like that you came into the company and turned it around. That's what I like. I love hero stories because I can imagine to some people you are kind of because obviously you saved them from bankruptcy essentially.
Did, yeah. I mean, no, a lot of people hated me. I made a lot of enemies because there were people that, as we turned it around financially, wanted it to stay exactly the same.
Hmm.
And there was, but I had to lose some people because they didn't have the right culture, they didn't have the right value system. But there was also a very difficult issue, which is about people think change has to be either radical or not at all.
Hmm.
And I had to take this nuanced position because the company had been around since the 1970s. There were certain things the company did that people wanted it to continue
Hmm.
doing. So you have to go, right, keep that running. If you go on our website, you can see this, it says classics.
I
For the
really like
book.
the website by the way. I really like
Oh,
it.
thank you. We had it rebuilt last year, and in the middle of last year, and the guy Martin who built it came up with I just said I want it really easy, and he said, okay, we've got to make it scrolling. And the key thing, my team said, let's put the heritage right at the top, so you understand what we're about.
Hmm.
And we've had really, yeah, good feedback, but we'll keep adjusting it, you know,
Yeah.
keep looking at new things. So yeah, the nuance of change. You can't take everybody with you, but what I used the analogy of, Josh, was I said it's like we're a tanker that's run aground.
Okay.
First of all, I've got to get the tide to come back in because it's stuck in the sandbanks, and then and then I've got to turn it around, and then I've got to go on a new
Yeah. And
journey.
you got to turn the engines back on as well.
All of that, yeah, yeah, and it's yeah, exactly, and so it was a slow process, and we were just getting really excited about our 50 years, and we said, let's do something really immersive,
Hmm.
and COVID happened, which I do jokingly say was the biggest immersive experiment we ever did. Was we created a pandemic, but that's not true.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely did. COVID was
But,
a
yeah,
crazy
so I
time.
think turning an organisation around and you know, and you need getting good people in. The first things I did was audition performers.
Hmm.
Of that first lot, two are still very, very instrumental in the success of the company
Awesome.
because you want a new value system. You go, the first thing was, hooray, this is a creative opportunity to use these skills in different places.
I like it. And it's interesting when change comes because I speak to a lot of people about change, like not just in like the workspace, but like in like personal life as well. Like people hate change. They absolutely despise change. Similar why, you know.
Well, I slightly disagree. I think people love it and hate it
Yeah.
at the same time. Because one of the things you realise as you get older, as I am, you can feel two things, opposing things at the same time. And I think change does that. Hooray! Something's going to be different, it's going to be exciting. But I want it to be the same because I want to be hanging on to certain rocks in my life. And you're going to,
Yeah.
you know.
And from those people that didn't like the change that you were installing when it comes in, how did you handle those conversations? How did they go?
I don't know. My view, I got into the job. I found it far more stressful than I thought it was going to be because there was a lot to do.
Mm-hmm.
I literally had a moment of crisis where I went, can I do this?
Of course.
I don't know if I can do
Always.
this. And then but I firmly believed I could turn everybody round and everyone would come with me.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a few people that just wouldn't. And then, it was actually, I've got to be careful what I say, but it was actually when the clients started to complain.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So you just go, yeah, sorry, we have to part ways. And some people will swan off and have a go. Because our performers are freelance, but very much attached to us and trained to do our work.
Mm-hmm.
For staff, generally that's been good. We have, but you just got to keep on the steady. You've got to believe where you're going, and it is with regret that you lose people and they might be cross and angry. Of course they will be when they don't. And I'm just a human. I don't want to be hated by everybody. But I do know that I had to keep the company afloat at all costs to offer work to creative people and all the stakeholders that are now working with us. It's made it all worth it.
Yeah, because I can imagine a company, 1970, I wrote that down, just want to make sure that I got that right?
Yeah.
It must have been a lot of pressure to have that much history on your shoulders.
Well, you have to have a little bit of faith in the DNA of the company, that it's there, okay? Now, I know what I'm talking about because I drive an Alfa Romeo, and if anyone who likes watching this likes cars, they'll know what I mean. You get into an Alfa Romeo and it's even got a switch that says DNA on it, for God's sake, You just, whatever they do to it, it just has to, it's got some sort of cultural belief, but it gets handed down, and you have to have faith in that process, handed down and not watered down. So I kept a good amount of the performers who've been here for a long time, and they've handed it down to other people. Sometimes don't like some of the changes that we've necessarily had to make, but I've always stopped to listen. But I had to say, I'm going to listen to you, but I might not agree. I might make. And I got questioned. This is another key business thing. Somebody said to me, well, why have you made that decision? Because this is what's wrong with your plan. I went, yeah, I agree. That is exactly what is wrong with my plan. But what I'm replacing it with, what was wrong with that? I can't live with that. Whereas I can live with what's wrong with my plan. So sometimes when you make a decision, you're asking yourself, can I live with the faults of that decision if it goes wrong? Because nothing is perfect.
I like that way of thinking.
If you think about the DNA of a company, is it going to rip that apart or is it going to enhance that? Can I live with what might happen?
I really like it because it helps with the decision making, right? On choosing between different ideas, like can we live if that goes wrong? Yeah, so why not do it?
Nothing is perfect.
Ever.
It's not
Yeah.
perfect. We all try to get it as good as possible.
I call it the pursuit of excellence.
Yeah. And we're always trying to be excellent. We're try not to ever say that'll do. That's different. And this is the good one. But the potential failings of this could be this, and this.
But you kept it alive and you kept it afloat, and now you've got all these different levers that are looking like. But I want to know, like, the delivery, right? Like immersive theatre. Like, please educate me. Like, let's say, for example, you do corporate training. I'm familiar with corporate training, so let's do that one. Let's say I used to work at a corporate company, right? Let's say you guys came to us, okay? Like, what would that look like? Like, what am I experiencing?
We've done simple ones which other people will do, and there's other people that provide it. So you can just do workshops, team building workshops, because of course the theatre world is very dependent on team. It's the balance between the individual excellence and the team excellence, and that is always in a state of trying to achieve balance. So that we can do the kind of workshops on that. There's those sort of things. I think the ones that I like the most was the one we developed for the National Housing Federation. We've done it 3 or 4 places since, which was to do a mock training seminar. So basically we turned up as though we were experts in a field, but everything was going, because the guy at the head of Simon Nunn, who's the head of the National Housing Federation, said, our guys have had so many of these things, they're just fed up of flip charts and acronyms.
Yeah.
So basically we just turned up and we did all that. And they had some validity. So they weren't just, it was a bit of a question thing, and then they couldn't get the screen down properly, and then the thing, and so they started, just jot this down on a bit of paper, and then it would write something crazy. And then that guy who's all in a suit got taken over by someone who was fine, who really wanted to be much touchy-feely about the whole thing. Because one of the things is you will not get the people out of their seats. There's no way. Well, we got them out of their seats in 15 minutes.
That's
Through
good.
this and then we did a sort of workshop. We had like a PE expert doing a sport thing that was rubbish, and then people got that it was funny, and they started playing, and then we would stop that, and I'd say, okay, we just made that all up. Okay, we just knew here were the clues. This is what we're going to work with, but you fed into that. So this is actually a workshop about blue sky thinking. You've just done it.
Cool.
So let's go.
Okay, there's like a Shutter Island kind of moment.
I don't know what
You
Shutter
don't know
Island.
what I mean? Like, wow, you see, there's a film, Shutter Island, Leonardo
I've heard of
DiCaprio,
it, yeah.
main actor. There is one of the biggest plot twists of all time in any film. So, yeah, I would watch. I would watch, and then you understand it afterwards. But is it exactly like that? Is where you believe something to be real, right? And then you're like, nope, made it all up, and you're just like, and I guess the second question, because I'm a systems guy, right? I'm numbers, boring stuff to you probably. How?
No, because I'm the executive director as well. So I do all the. In fact, I've got our company accounts just there, which I'm going
Oh,
through.
fun. Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah.
How do you measure impact when it comes to something like that?
Yeah, it's a very good question, actually. Do you measure impact? Your measurables are obvious, and I think this is one of the things where people get lost in the arts. They try to, so much energy trying to fix a number to actual impact, whereas actually the impact that matters is that the balance sheet works, which is also a creative decision, right?
Like you said, the balance sheets.
That your P&L work, that your budget's balanced, that the balance sheet looks good at the end of the year,
Okay.
so that you can exist. Now that is about understanding value. So in terms of the financial operation of an arts organisation, where does the value lie? Is it numeric? Is it in sustaining your social impact because you're a charity? Is it to do with the audience impact and what impact will that have going on? So you try not to be numerical about it, but we do a very good feedback system when we've done performances. I go out and watch quite a few of them. And there are some measurables. So if we do a show, like we did the show at the London Transport Museum, and we got a host of 4 and 5 star reviews.
Awesome.
Of course, the first review I read was the 2-star review from the Evening Standard.
What did it say?
Well, put it this way, Josh. It's not only the worst review I've ever had, it's the worst review I've ever read. It was appalling.
You have
It
to
was
share
so
it.
bad.
For the sake of the podcast, you have to share it if you can remember.
It just said it was lousy, it was blah, blah, blah. But my partner, we've been together for 6 years now, but she works in the corporate world, and I went, just so you know, this really hurts, I said. And it's the guy from the Evening Standard. It happened to be the very last printed edition of the Evening Standard. And the guy who wrote the review, we heard, if he's watching it, that he was actually went freelance, so he was a bit miffed. Anyway, here's the most important thing about value, all right? We get all the 4 stars in, the 5 stars in. We've had the press night. People are feeling better that they love it. I've sat in the audience. I know it's worked. It's not just for a theatre audience. It's for people who like transport or like history. It's actually about a relationship. Okay, so it's not trying to change the world of theatre. What it's trying to do is combine audiences in one place, which is a lot of what we do. So it's not going to please everybody. And that first review, and here's the lovely little anecdote about that. 2-star review. You don't put it on the posters. You ignore it. Okay, people can Google it, but there's so many 4 and 5-star reviews of the show, The Truth About Harry Beck, and even AI will summarise quite well what it was about. Here's the great bit. I'm then going back, we're doing another project, and the costume designer's working at Southwark Playhouse. So after that came out, that day, and I've got all the 4 stars and 5 stars are coming through, so I'm feeling happier. And I'm on the tube going to Southwark, and I really wish I'd taken a photo of it. Opposite me, under a guy's foot, is a screwed up edition of the Evening Standard with his foot on our review. And I thought, well, your review is now scrumpled under somebody's foot. Well, our show is going to be going on.
It's weird how the world works sometimes, isn't it?
And I know that's a bizarre story, but it's having faith in that shows how important is that moment. How important. There is a wonderful bit that I read years ago. You know when they do those top 10s of things, and you see them all the time on the internet. Used to be these terrible programs on Channel 4 and stuff. They go, what's the best song ever? All right? Okay, and it's sort of, it always comes out as Bohemian Rhapsody because everybody says it's that. Or best album ever, or whatever. And do you know what it is? The one that's number 1 is nearly everybody's second or third choice. Because everybody's middle choice will be kind of similar. Everyone's top choice is spiky. It's all over the place. So how do you measure success? And it has been, is the impact great? As people, have you made somebody's day? And it is that simple. With The Truth About Harry Beck, were people interested in the history? Did they go to the Transport Museum afterwards? Absolutely. It was a fantastic partnership and part of what they're doing. Did people email us wanting to know more about it? Yes. Did I get an email from Harry Beck's wife's nephew, who I tried to chase? Yes, I did. And I'm going to meet with him. You know? So suddenly, we have people who worked with him coming to see and then saying, you nailed it. That's who we want.
Awesome.
So what is the success? Is the resonance there? So I think the data is you're looking for those spiky responses where you've really hit it. The difficult bit is you've got to hear the other side. The people who said it was a load of old rubbish. Of course I've listened to that 2-star review.
You got it. And
some of what he said is true, but my aesthetic is different to his. This is also the reviewer that said "We Will Rock You" is awful, a musical and won't go anywhere.
I think
he also said 39 Steps wasn't funny.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like musicals and like your industry, it's all down to preference, right? If someone doesn't like history, doesn't like the topic, doesn't like the way that the people are talking or singing or whatever, it's like, then they're obviously going to leave a bad review. But it's just preference, really. But I really like that. That's how you guys measure impact, because I think that's really cool. It's measuring on relationships and measuring on the response you get from doing it afterwards, which I really like. I think that's really cool.
And being in the audience, and you can see, and when we've just done this Jane Austen tour, this interactive thing,
cool,
absolutely loved it. We've been doing versions. We rewrote this 2 years ago, and because of the Jane Austen, we went to Chatsworth, Croom Park, and we went to Winchester, and we did it in Bath. To very different audiences, and they loved it. But here's the thing, we also do a Shakespeare one, which we want to bring out next year again. Shakespeare Begins. It's an interactive, it's like we found Shakespeare's first script and it comes to life around you. But it's basically a mashup of Shakespeare's. So 2 years ago, we did it in the Birmingham Bullring, in the shopping centre. And I was like, how's this going to go? And there was a wonderful moment. There was these 3 lads who were causing bother and being followed by security guards. And they saw that, and one of them goes, let's go, that's a load of rubbish. And the other one goes, F off, this is drama. And they stopped and they watched about 5 of the scenes. and you just go, this is hitting people. That, I'll have that.
Mm-hmm.
There was another bit, Josh, on that one. These stories are measurables, but only we can work this out. We had put with the promoter having a signer for the shows, and I was thinking, well, that was probably a waste of money because no one came along. We were watching the last show. It finished. 2 ladies went up to the signer and they started talking. They were completely deaf. They had seen the show passing them right at the beginning and watched the whole show. And so I had a conversation with them in which they were just saying, we are so grateful. That is one of the best things we've ever seen. That's what I call amazing. A spiky but important response. Mm-hmm. There is one more measurable. We're doing another piece of work at the moment, which we did it just before the pandemic. People who, because we work business to business generally, even when we do a show, we work through a promoter. And we look at everybody who's worked with us, have they worked with us again? And in 2019, every single person that had booked us in 2018 had booked us again in 2019. Every single one.
That's a good
thing. And this year, it's going to be nearly the same. It's going to be looking really strong to be the same. There's one who we haven't worked with again, I know, a big promoter, but who wants to do something with us next year. There are some measurables, but I think it's also, just hanging on, but also looking at the things where it didn't work. And we go, okay, what can we do? How can we encompass that? Can we learn about what we're doing to increase the value and the quality of what we do?
I like it. I really like those measurements of impact, to be honest, because it's not just numbers, ROI, metrics, it's actual people, actual emotions, actual impact, and more importantly, relationships, which I'm massive on with all of our clients. Like, I will not work with someone if I can't go for a sleepover and have ribs with them,
Yeah.
That's my qualifying criteria. If I don't feel comfortable doing that, then I wouldn't want to work together.
My partner says, she does very top head talent acquisition, and she said there is always the quality of, can you go to the pub with them afterwards, and I think that she sums it up beautifully. Do you want to talk about other things? Do you want to extend beyond? A work of art, as the work of art you've just created, and some of our stuff is so simple and just funny, has that created the capacity for them to have a conversation and open up a bit? Because they've laughed, because they've shared something, because they've seen something.
Yeah, kind of bring out a similarity. Oh, I actually laughed about this one time as well. Oh, yeah. I like that as well, and then it kind of ripples down from there. But Andy, thank you super much. You've taught me a lot about your industry, and I think it's really cool. To be honest, my favorite thing is the impacts, like I already mentioned. But I got one question to leave us on, because like most of my audience, they won't be in the theatre world, right? So I guess, what is one thing for people that aren't in your industry, right? One thing that you think is misinterpreted quite a lot of the time and you wish people would understand clearer?
That's a really good question. There's so many things. Basically, that we'll do it for free. That's the biggest one. That is the biggest. Oh, and to anybody who's watching this, who's also working in the arts industry, you will hear it all the time. This will be so good for your career. I was remembering a big function in Bath, where we're based, and there was businesses and all. And somebody said, I've got a great idea for you. You could do this. And I said, so who's going to pay for that? And he goes, well, you do it for free because it'd be good for you. And I literally leaned over to him and said, I've just signed a contract with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And he went, oh, you don't really need that, do you? So there's a point where, and the trouble is, in the arts, it is understood, and it's happening in other industries, where entry-level jobs, graduate jobs and things are disappearing. You've got to now work for free to prove yourself. That skews the industry. So in the arts world, okay, put on a show for free. Go out, and quite a lot of them are doing what we do street theatre for free. And we suffered from it after the pandemic. We really suffered because people were undermining our pricing structure. The next year, guess what? Everyone came back to us because we know how to do it. So there is a little bit of, please do this for free. Please, no, you would not ask your accountant to do your accounts for free. You know, it's like everybody has to be paid. You know, like it or not, it's a capitalist world, and people have to be paid for their services, and that includes. The trouble is, right now, Josh, a lot of entertainment is free.
Mm,
It's on YouTube, it's free,
yeah.
but somebody somewhere is paid. It's not free because you have to sit through another Jet2 holidays
Oh,
advert.
why would you bring that up?
They pay me for that.
Why would you bring that up? Now that song is going to be round my head for the rest of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
day.
But you have to sit through. So yeah. One of the big misinterpretations is that everyone's just doing it for the love of it. Of
Hmm.
course, it's like those sort of things. At school you couldn't do anything else, and you got a creative brain, you want to
Hmm.
do it. I think that's absolutely right. I think also some of the higher brow theatre gets a bit art can get a little bit dismissive of everybody's ability to access it. There's a lot of work on access in terms of cultural diversity, disability, special educational needs. I think, but also there's something that brings us all together. Look, my grandparents were working class mining stock from Wales, and my grandmother could tell you the Shakespeare stories. Because that's the Welsh heritage, is handing down stories of. I went to see the play about Nyren Bevan, which I loved because it's about my Welsh heritage, and the fact he set up these libraries for the miners, that art is for everybody. And it just helps us understand people in a softer, warmer way, and get a better vocabulary, find the words to describe difficult things. So it's not all showing off.
I
Sometimes it
like
is
it.
an
No,
attempt to
I like
communicate.
it. Andy, throughout this call, you've not changed my perception, but you've allowed me to see it in a similar way to you see it, and I can understand the love for the game now, which is really cool. I really like it. But thank you very much for educating me, for
Pleasure.
educating the audience, and yeah, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you.
No problem.
Cheers.
No problem.